So I apologize in advance for my low, rusty voice. I'm currently sick at the moment. Religion's patriarchy. That's not a word I say often, as patriarchy. It's a word that I try to avoid for the most part in all of my videos. However, today I think is a prime example of patriarchy in religion specifically. And you know, if you're a feminist watching this video, you might want to turn your ears on because this is what I think is important. Trying to battle this type of inequality, trying to tackle this type of problems rather than video games like some people like to do. This is a problem, and I think most people will agree that this is a reason of a example of inequality and how women are in fact treated as inferior to men when you hear this story. So Alice Colin, I don't know how to say her name, was a spiritual leader, a spiritual guide. She's worked at a company known as InterVarsity, which is evangelical Christian group. InterVarsity, that is. And she had worked at InterVarsity for over 20 years, and she was a spiritual guidance. You know, if you were doing Christian ministries and Bible studies, she's the woman that you would want to go to because she's educated, she knows what she's doing in her area of expertise, which is spiritual guidance and all that jibber-jabberish stuff that I don't believe in. That being said, though, in her personal life, years ago, she had a divorce, and one of the things when you work at InterVarsity, or for the most part any evangelical Christian group, when you go through a divorce, Christianity specifically, there are things that you have to do in order to try to reconcile that divorce with your current husband or wife. It's stressed very often in most Christian churches that if you have a divorce, you need to try to go through spiritual counseling, Christian counseling, try to reconcile your relationship, try to get things fixed. And if you don't do that, most churches don't want you part of the church because you didn't take the spiritual guide in order to try to fix your relationship with Jesus and all that stuff. In any event, she had a divorce, and she went through all of these proper steps that InterVarsity had her do, or wanted her to do in order to still be in the position that she's at. And she did them all. And then recently, InterVarsity, out of the clear blue, approached her and said, "You're fired." And she's been working there for over 20 years, and she's fired. And now, Alice Colin is now suing the company, InterVarsity, for mistreatment of her in terms of inequality. Because the crazy thing is that there are men working in her position within spiritual male leaders within the church who have also had a divorce. And InterVarsity's reasoning for firing her was because of her divorce. And the crazy thing is, I'm not done yet, is that InterVarsity went to her ex-husband, who she divorced, and was asking all these personal details about her and the divorce process. Now, the reason I brought up that InterVarsity went to her ex-husband behind her back was because that's something that's really common within religion, is that the church or InterVarsity has to go through the husband, the guy, first. And they only heard one side of the entire story. They went to him and they said, "We don't really want to hear what you have to say regarding the whole divorce process that happened years ago, but we have to go through the guy first. And we're not going to hear what you have to say because the guy is the head of the household. The guy is the one who makes all the decisions, is the leader of the household." And this is something that is very, very common in evangelical Christian homes and churches and families and groups, is that the male is the head of the house, which I don't really mind that, but the fact is that everything has to go through the guy first. He is the number one decision maker, and if he doesn't agree with something, then the wife has to submit to his authority in that context. And this is in the Bible fluently, constantly, consistently out, that the guy is the head of the house and a woman's supposed to submit to her husband and follow and support his decisions, whatever those decisions are. When I heard this story, I was not surprised at all because I have grown up in a religious household in churches and groups like this, and I've seen it with my own eyes how this process works. And I will stand here and I will say that religion, within Christianity, or specifically InterVarsity here, is treating women as inferior to that of men by the process in which they go about making decisions, such as this one. I mean, I can't even believe that the InterVarsity would go to her husband and find out all these little personal details about her, to whether she followed the protocol exactly the way the way it was supposed to be, and then fired her, even though she did everything correctly. And I hope she wins this lawsuit that she's doing. And right now, it hasn't went through the courts. Nothing's been established yet on whether or not InterVarsity is going to lose the case or win the case. I don't know yet, because there hasn't been any verdict. But I want you to think about this. I want you to think how religion plays a very big role within patriarchy of male dominance. And by male dominance, I mean men are literally, they can do whatever they want to their wives, and they, in many cases, and I've talked about this on my older channel, where men have abused their wives, and there's really nothing, specifically in Mormonism, where there's nothing the wife can really do, because she's so embedded in this religion that if she tries to escape her husband, she'll be outcast from the church, she won't have any funds, everything will be cut off from her, and she's treated like a piece of meat, literally, within religion. And I think religion is a huge area of where patriarchy is, in fact, dominating. And it needs to be addressed, and it needs to be tackled, and this is just one prime example of this. The fact that these men in the church who've had divorces are still working in that same position right here, and she was the only one on the entire group of InterVarsity that got fired, that's a problem. That is blatant, like a double standard. Oh, the guys can, have a divorce, but you're a woman, you're less inferior, we don't want to hear what you have to say, because what you have to say is worthless anyway, because guys have all the answers, and it's... Oh my goodness. It's just, what do you think about this? Do you think religion plays a part in patriarchy? By the way, this is the same company that a few years ago they were in the news, a gay Christian man wanted to be on their staff or something, and, you can be gay as long as you don't partake in the sexual act of, having sex with your significant other or whatever, and he followed all the rules. Then when he applied for his position at InterVarsity, they automatically said, no, you're gay. You can't work here, even though they originally said that, you can work here if you follow all these steps and you're celibate and you are not actively participating in sex with your same-sex partner and things like that. And they said no. But does it surprise you? Does it surprise you that these evangelical Christian groups like this it's like they can't allow a Christian gay person to work with their company because it will show them how tolerant they are or something. And it's like, really? Really, guys? I mean, InterVarsity, if anyone's from InterVarsity watching this video, shame on you. Because it's always interesting when you have Christians who say to you, it's okay to be gay. You can be gay, and you can still be a Christian, and you can love Jesus as long as you don't participate in the act. It's okay to be gay. And then you go to this evangelical Christian group, InterVarsity, and they say, nope, you can't work here, you can't be associated with us, you're gay, stay away from us. Even though we already said that you can work with us, and we changed our minds. It's disgusting to me. So, again, the verdict has not been played out on InterVarsity on whether this woman is going to win the lawsuit. I hope she does for her sake, because that's wrong. I don't care if she's religious or not. She's worked for 20 years. She followed the guides. She did the rules that she was supposed to do, and yet they still fired her. And the fact that men are still in the same position that she's at right now, who have been divorced and they're not fired, shows you the lack of any equality and how women, I think, are treated as less inferior and less important in religion. Disagree or agree? I don't know. I'm asking you. Thanks for watching.